That's a bomb shackle.
Is it?
Yep. Yep, that's a bomb shackle. That could be the bomb shackle, too, because it was a nuclear.
Nearly 40 years after the last flight of 040, a Mesa man is digging through the remains, excited by the bits and chunks of metal that he finds.
It's just a matter of curiosity. It's something that not many people delve into, they really want to look at, because to most people this is junk. This is a gold mine to me.
For nearly 2 years, Richard Johnson has been researching this final flight of an Air Force bomber. It began when friends showed him photos of the site, telling him a B-29 had crashed here.
I got looking at the pictures, and from the size of the engines, I could tell, just because I'd studied the B-29 and the B-50 aircraft, I could tell the difference just by looking at the engines. My curiosity started this drive to come in, see the thing, and research it, find out what happened.
An aviation enthusiast, he did more than bring facts together. He brought people together as well. Of the 6 survivors from that night, 4 remain alive today. Dutch Lautenschlager retired as a lieutenant colonel, and so did Jerry McCarville and Al Toney. Earl Hornbuckle left the Air Force in 1958 and went to college and became a math teacher. And Richard Johnson found someone else for this reunion.
No, how are you, man? Yeah, man, long time, huh? Get another one?
That's Lautenschlager.
Oh,
Good to see you, man.
You better believe it.
Enjoy seeing you today, but I enjoyed seeing you more about 36 years ago.
Yes, no.
To see the 4 men and Rocky reunite right here at the wreckage site,
You guys were a sight for sore eyes.
really, those moments really brought some tears to my eyes. And really, just really,
You say we were up there when you got here?
really hit deep down. It really meant an awful lot to me to be doing this research for 2 years, and I never thought it'd go this far.
This reunion, though, was not without regrets.
I do wish that some way or other we could have notified the boys' families that were killed. That would have been nice.
But through Richard Johnson's relentless digging, he did just that, placing a telephone call to one of T. Adcock's 5 sisters. Soon, another reunion was taking place, this time in New Orleans. The sisters of James T. Adcock met to remember their brother.
I loved him. He was in Technicolor. He was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. He was red-headed, had beautiful brown eyes, beautiful, very beautiful boy.
As we got old enough to babysit, we older ones did. And to me, T was just a young little boy.
But in this tight-knit family, there were tears.
I appreciate that somebody still cares. Mr. Johnson did a lot of work, and I appreciate that. Of feelings after all these years.
Because of Johnson's contact and later a meeting with Dutch, T's family finally learned details the Air Force had never told them.
When he was killed, we didn't know very much. They didn't tell us anything much. Just as little, I guess, as they could get by with, because we did not know a lot about what happened to him.
I guess the meeting that we had with Dutch the other night was really the first time that I had buried T. He was still very emotional over it. Still, in fact, he said someone had asked him if he could have his crew back together again, what would be the words that he would say to him. And he said, well, for the living, there's not much I could say for that because they're alive.
I suppose it would be sort of an apology that sorry we couldn't do more for them, but there just wasn't, the circumstances were such that there just wasn't time to do anything. There wasn't any more we can do, and the best we can do now is remember them.
And you do.
We do.
The crew from the last flight of 040 was only a minute part of the Strategic Air Command. They were a small section of the men and women sworn to protect and defend the United States. They have a closeness that only those who've been there can share, but they'll always remember the ones who didn't come back, and they'll always share the pride that says they'd do it again.
Without a moment's hesitation.
This airplane was flyable, and you had a call, and it was your call to duty?
I wouldn't hesitate a minute.
I'm sure he gave it all he had. Whatever he could do, I'm sure he did his best.
I feel like I'm doing something to further patriotism, if you will, by bringing these men back here, reminding ourselves and them and the rest of the United States of a time in our nation's history when we needed to fly these missions.
Nature has taken over at this place of memories, trying to cover the scars from that fateful night, but the survivors of 46040 will never forget. They were doing their duty, something they believed in, and something their friends ultimately gave their lives for. The crew of 46040 served their country while reaching for the stars. So many things have changed, but that dedication lives on today with others like them who are continuing to reach even higher. I'm Jerry Foster. Good night.
USA!